TV, enriching lives. Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Well, it's always a great pleasure having you here on Church of Uganda Family TV, especially Issues at Hand every 9 o'clock, Monday to Friday, where we discuss issues affecting us as a country, as a community, and of course as a city in Kampala. We are located here in Church House in the city center, that is 13th floor, where if you would like to check on us. We are also on social media platforms at X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, where we stream these videos live, and you can go and give your comment and your opinion about how you find things in regards to the topics, the different topics that we introduce each and every morning. Remember, we bring you people of expertise in different fields that come and of course shed a light on how those particular fields are going, and tell us the expectations when it comes to development and growth in those areas. We are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe, where they promise comfort and luxury at its best. They do have very many services when it comes to food. They do have continental dishes, cuisines, snacks, anything that you are comfortable with. They have a string of drinks that can accompany those meals. They have a swimming pool, a gym, and a health center. I'm talking about a spa where you can go and pamper yourself, you and your family. They also have accommodation in case you would like to sleep in, and they are located in the heart of Entebbe town, right next to the International Airport of Uganda is where you will find Protea Hotel by Marriott. They also have a beach side if you enjoy some of the fresh beach vibes. You can check out Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. They are on social media, where as well you will find them. Once again, don't forget to comment and like and share, especially YouTube, where you can go and join the conversation live as we get into it. Now, recently the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency General Kaguta Museveni, told us the state of the nation, if I may coin that word, or if I may put it that way. And of course, one of the things that he shed a light on is the plans that Uganda has as a country when it comes to development, economic growth, and of course social development. The key factors of how exactly the budget is going to be affected come 2024-2025. The budget reading is going to take place, I think, in 4 days' time. That is on 13th June. And I'm very, very sure that the team here, both on the news desk and current affairs, will be able to bring you details on how exactly those plans will go. Some of the focuses of this particular new reading are going to be industrialization, but not limited to that, socio-economic transformation. We have human capital development, where we as a country are going to see how to invest in our people, so that of course we can have a resourceful community. Now, of course, when we talk resource, we know that one of the factors that guide or that shed a light on that particular field, we have education as a leading, because when you educate yourself about something, then you get the knowledge, the right knowledge to carry it through. We also have industrialization, where we are saying that as a country we need to get into manufacturing. And before I even get into a look at that State of the Nation address, I'd like to introduce my guest for the day from the UPC, or Uganda People's Congress. His name is Mr. Lwanga Charles. He is a usual guest, and he always comes here to shed a light on some of these issues that make headlines. I'll give him a moment to make his introduction remarks.
Good morning, Family TV. Issues at hand, the management team and the production team and the rest of the crew. I'm always very happy to be invited here to air my contribution. And warm greetings from the party president, Honorable Jim Makena, who is now busy crisscrossing the country trying to prepare the party for 2026. And greetings from the UPC fraternity at Uganda House, in Uganda, in East Africa, in Africa, and in the diaspora. They are attentively listening and they enjoy this program, and they are ever grateful And this program has a great Pan-Africanist appeal since it is aired in English, and English is a global language.
Yes.
So
very
we are
true.
very happy wherever we are here. And some of you have even praised the staff which presents this program. And at one time, some were imagining you are either Kenyan or you are a Caribbean. So this is how they are following this program.
A Caribbean.
A Caribbean. Because you share the accent, you share the outlook.
Thank you. Thank you to
Yes.
those viewers of ours.
Yes.
And thank you.
And
to
at times I send you those feedbacks.
Not at times, all the time. And I
Yes.
always actually appreciate
Yes,
and
wonderful.
acknowledge the feedback. So thank you so much to the team that watches Issues at Hand. And of course, Mr. Ranga, I'd like us to start off with the president's speech. And
Yes.
I'll read something from it. He says the fourth task is for the Ugandans and other East Africans to have got the right spectacles to see how the black race can survive as free people, or even survive at all, to struggle and bring about the creation of East African Federation. Now that is one point. Before we get to Pan-Africanism, what are your thoughts on the East African Federation? What are your thoughts on East Africa coming together as one community to forge change in these countries that make up the community?
Thanks very much for this question, which has historical roots.
Exactly.
When you follow East African development, or the journey it has made, East Africa had never been united. But its unity started through these historical migrations of people. And these migrations of people stretch way back in those earlier centuries from Nigeria, Cameroonian border. To be specific, I think the place is Nuuk. Then they moved through Cameroon, Gabon, and they reached Shabakatanga. When the Bantus reached Shabakatanga, some migrated south, some migrated central, and some penetrated East Africa. Okay. Now, this group which penetrated East Africa consists of the Bantu of Uganda, Bantu of Tanzania, majority of them, or by that time it was Tanganyika, and Bantu of Kenya. But the migration was not only limited to those people. Even our brothers from Turkana area, from Ethiopia, were moving in. These constitute a huge group of the Nilotics, and which Nilotics are the Luo-speaking people in Sudan, in Uganda, in Kenya, and in Ethiopia, like the Moros in Ethiopia. Then we had another group known as the Etekere group. These are the Masai, Kalenjini, our Kalamajong people, the Toposa in southern Sudan, the Iteso in Uganda and in Kenya, the Langi. The Langi belong to Etekere, though we always put them to be Luos. The only difference which happened is that when the Langi fathers and husbands, the Lango people, went to hide, the Achoris came in and married off their daughters and taught them the Luo language. Okay. Then, of course, there was now an interfusion. Some of these Luos, or the Tekeres, settled on the boundaries of Bantu, so they fused. Okay. So historically, you see that through migrations, we achieved this Umoja East Africa, one East Africa. Then, those societies lacked vital trade items. And these vital trade items were like a salt. Now, salt was in Bunyoro, Toro region, like Katwe. And people wanted it across so they could move in those bands. Then there was also another sophisticated group in Tanzania known as the Nyamwezi. Also, they could move. Then in Kenya, they had the special Kambas. Also, there were those long distance traders. When you are trading long distance, ideas are shared, intermarriages are shared. So for them, they understood this thing better. It is us who got independence and delayed with it. Then when the white man was coming, he followed all those trade routes and found it very strategic to unite the whole area and put there a superstructure of British colonial administration, Germany colonial administration in Tanganyika, Rwanda, Burundi. Then, of course, the coming in of the British put off the pressure of the Arabs, who were also pushing in through Khedive Ismaili. And of course, we have this Emin Pasha with the mercenaries he had brought as far as Uganda. And these mercenaries, Sudanese mercenaries, became a stay of Uganda. Because when religious wars broke out in 1880, which we just celebrated in 3rd March in Namugongo, Lugard was tempted to hire those Sudanese mercenaries. And when the wars ended, those Sudanese mercenaries were simply fused into Imperial East African Company Army. And when the company lost its royal charter to act on the behalf of the British government, they were again fused in the King's African Rifles. But history is very unfair. They blame Obote for fusing in Northerners in the army, and yet it is starting with Lugard and being embedded by the colonial administrative policy, and even the British themselves arguing that let us divide Uganda. The northern labor reserve area, southern be productive. So that was the arrangement. And from there now, they decided to build East African Common Services, especially when Tanganyika was given a mandate after the First World War to be controlled by the British. They started building the Uganda Railway from around the 1890s, to see how they can link Uganda. And after they have constructed the Uganda Railway, they started coming up with common services like harbour, like transport, and later on even air. We had East African Airways, started by these people. So they did a lot of the work. These research centers, they were all jointly East Africa, okay? Now, when independence struggle was starting, our founding fathers in Tanganyika, in Uganda, and in Tanzania, they fought collectively. And Nyerere, we have to pay him special credit, and the Tanganyika people of Tanzania. He delayed his independence, which would have got towards, let me say, 1959 or 1960. And he said, if I get this thing, our brothers in Uganda, our brothers in Kenya may take long. And yet I want when we get the independence, we go into East African Community straight. So he delayed it and got their independence in 1961. Then it enabled also Uganda to get the independence in 1962. Then the two countries, Tanzania and Kenya and Uganda, went to London now to say, London, you are delaying this thing. Give Kenya independence. And Kenya was given independence 1963, December. Then they started working very fast, the programs. But of course, when you are moving towards a community, there are contradictions. And one of the key contradictions was from my kingdom, Buganda Kingdom. And it had even led to the deportation of Kabaka Mutesa II in 1953. I think a colonial secretary or a colonial official talked of the possibility of forming East African Federation. And when he talked of the possibility of forming East African Federation, Kabaka and the Menge establishment were worried that this federation, will it preserve our throne? It may be the same situation which happened with the Central African Federation, where Northern Rhodesia, which is Zambia, Southern Rhodesia, which is Zimbabwe, and Malawi were put together, which was Nyasaland at that time. Or it may be like apartheid in South Africa. So Buganda objected. And it is one of the issues which even led to Kabaka being deported for the first time, leading to the build-up of our wonderful conference, which was known as Namirembe Conference, and leading to the signing of Namirembe Agreement of 1955. It was held at Namirembe Cathedral, and that's why it is Namirembe Agreement. And it is the agreement now, which is the unamended version of 1900 Uganda Agreement. So as that was done, they wanted to look at the politics. They wanted to look at the economy of the people. They wanted to look at the social mobility of the people. But since now these were genuine nationalists, they started removing the bottlenecks. And come 1967, East African Community was formed. And when East African Community was formed, for it was real. Okay? You are neighboring here, main post office. That was the headquarters of East African Posts and Telecommunication Services. Uganda was earmarked for that. Okay. Even it has a magnificent post office, schools, and all the facilities. Then we are also earmarked for a flying school. That's why we had Soroti, East African Flying School. We are earmarked for research of virus. That's why we have the Various Institute in Entebbe, where then when you go towards the Kororoya Strip, this side downwards from Yard, even those flats you see, they were specifically bought for East African community. Go to Soroti, we had moved towards that. And we are working on the harbors, we are working on what? I missed just by 1 year in 1980 to sit East African examinations. We are the pioneers of UNEB, Uganda National Examination Board. Okay. So the entire East Africa could sit the same examinations. The entire East Africa, they could exchange students. Wow. You study in Tanzania, you study in Nairobi, they also come, okay? So you find that even our founding father, Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, to know more of this politics, he knew it in Kenya when he went to work in Kenya, and he found the Kenyans they had studied with in Makerere. They embraced him, and they even made him a leader of the Welfare Society, Kolarani, and they even made him a leader of the newly founded political party, Kenya African Union, which became a forerunner of KANU, Kenya African National Unity Party. And that is the one which got independence. So our politics was fusing. Now and then. Okay? Now the giant steps we made with the East African community, okay, again created enemies. When you do great success, at times you are interfered with. And our giant steps led to some of our sons being recruited to dismantle this East African community. Okay. And when East African community was destroyed, people like late Charles Njonjo were so happy, and this was a very influential Kenyan minister. But some say the giant steps we are taking, European Union was walking baby steps. We are far ahead, and they even gazetted each country. Uganda was, I think, given textile industry. You produce more cotton, have dominance of textile industry. Wow. Kenya, I think, was given dominance to have dominance in tire marketing. Then Tanzania was given dominance to do with Saiso, what have you, and other areas. Then they were looking on bigger things to come. So this throwing in of Amin in 1971 even destroyed the opportunities of East African community to expand, because now Zambia, which had warmed up and was ready to join East African community, it was cut off by Amin's coming. And remember, Zambia had already now connected with East Africa after the construction of the Tazara Railway. This is Tanzania-Zambia Railway. The Chinese came in and built another new Longo Snake from Dar es Salaam in Tanzania to Kapirimposhi in Zambia. I have ever used that railway, and it used to be called Uhuru Highway, Railway. Okay. And when you are sleeping in it, you are moving in it, you really worship Kaunda, you worship Nyerere, you worship Obote for such grand visions. And it makes you travel in Southern Africa very cheaply, okay, in Central Africa very cheaply. These are people who are seeing very far. So when now you add up that sort of development, they even created an East African city, which is Arusha. That's why now you are seeing Arusha every time, and that is where there is the headquarters. Okay. So when now 77 happened, each country split on its own. We gave birth to Uganda Airlines, no more East Africa. We separated, even the banks separated everything. And now we started behaving in the same independent way. But much as we started that, Dr. Potter did not lose vision on it. And when he arrived here, 27th May 1980, which we also call Heroes Day, during the days of UPC,
Okay.
he said even as a private citizen, he will petition the restoration of East African community. And indeed, they started meetings of it. Well, I think one was even in Bujumbura, where, and they had started working on. Now, these new leaders which came in the mid-1980s, they found the ground being laid already, okay, and they were to move from there. Okay. So there is a very long journey we moved, and that was very physical. You could see things that this is East African this is East African this is East African this. That is how we had even East and Central Challenge Cup, East African Cup, East African what. We had moved, we had fused. Okay.
Then what went wrong? Because do we blame it on the leaders that took over from the people who started the vision?
What went wrong was the great success East African community had achieved. You see, let me take you a little bit backwards, okay? When Nkwame Nkrumah was having this vision of Pan-Africanism, Africa one, Africa umoja, okay? He was told that people who speak different languages, people who speak different cultures, people who behave strangely from each other cannot be just brought in a basket at one day. The sort of basket we should do, East Africa, come together. Southern Africa, come together. Central Africa, come together. North Africa, come together. West Africa, come together. Understand each other. When you blow a whistle that East Africa, now we are one. Southern Africa, come and join us. There is a starting point.
Yeah.
And then when East Africa and Southern Africa unite, they tell West Africa, where are you? Come. And then they go to North Africa. That was a piecemeal, which Obote supported, but Nkrumah had not wanted it at that time. He wanted it to happen at a go. Obote told him this thing cannot happen at a go. If we do it piecemeal, develop it from there, then build the African army, African bank, bring together the foreign policies, bring all the domestic policies, it would be possible. Okay? So, the question you are asking, that approach which South Africa took worked much faster.
Okay.
And now the enemies of Africa, the enemies of East Africa, we are wondering, suppose this idea is solved. Okay? Are we going to continue exploiting Africa? So they said, no, the first thing to do is to puncture East African community. Where is the great point of weakness we can flash? So they found Uganda a soft target. And Uganda, they are finding it a soft target because of our background. Okay? When you read the constitution, we are about 56 nations, all tribes. And when the Muzungu came in, he said is developing each unit independent because we are moving with indirect rule. Musoga be a Musoga in your own area. Don't disturb Muganda, don't disturb Mugisu, don't disturb Mugwere. Muchiga be in your Buchiga land. Don't disturb Ankole, don't disturb Butolo, don't disturb what. And we lived with that life for 68 years. Now to tune it to build one Uganda, we are building it from a divided society.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they told my kingdom, because you have played it smart, you have helped us under very serious problems, we cannot abandon you. We are giving you a special position. Okay? And we are giving you a special privilege. Okay? Whatever we do, we have you in mind. Whatever we do, we have you in mind. Okay? And now it became very difficult to ask the Kabaka and his people, where does your reality fall? Here is a new central government, okay, going to be formed. It is very young. It is to be born in 1962. So all the Bagandas who have lived with their generations, how would they trust a newly born baby to be in charge of them? That is how the Baganda insisted on some specific guarantees, okay? And now these specific guarantees could not evenly fuse in the politics of independence. Because the politics of independence means equality, means inclusivity, okay? Means progress, means happiness, means sharing tribulations equally, okay? Means marching forward, means working and you break your back, means one man, one vote, common destiny. Okay? Now it was very difficult to argue those things and tell our brothers and sisters. For the listeners, people, I'm taking a historical interpretation. I'm a Kabaka subject.
Oh.
They shouldn't mistake me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a Kabaka subject. I come from Fumbe clan, and our official burial grounds are in Rwanga, in Pigi. Okay? Yes, we are the grandchildren of Walusimbi.
Okay.
Yes. So people who are listening to me, they should understand that. And we inherited those sort of challenges. Okay? You cannot blame Mutesa, you cannot blame Obote, you cannot blame Bendikito, you cannot blame Musaz. They inherited that excessive pre-colonial legacy, colonial legacy. And in the Buganda again, which people must understand, it was very hard to surrender ourselves entirely to the central government because of the background where we came from. We came from two counties, Busiro and Chadondo. And now by the time independence was coming, we were 20 counties. And now the Banyoro petitioned that there are 3 counties which they want to be returned. Now to have a compromise during the independence talks, they said we cannot do it now. Let the independent government do it not more than 2 years. That meant basically 1964. And since it meant 1964, King Freddy in November 1963 had been made the president. And there is no single president anywhere where a sitting Kabaka has ever lost an inch of land in Uganda. But now the referendum, which targeted the 3, ended up by Uganda losing 2 counties. This is Buyaga and Bugangayis. And it is understandable why the Banyolos were tough on those counties. That is where they had also their burial grounds for their leaders. So they could not leave it go.
Okay.
And now, what happened are the serious ramifications. The Katikiro Mikaili Chintu and his government collapsed. And this is when now Joshua Mayanja Nkanji is coming in as a younger Katikiro, and thinking that things would move in a good way. But there are some other people who approached Kabaka and the Mengo establishment that humiliation you have suffered of losing your counties, we are going to reverse it. You give us a backup. That is the build-up leading to the 1966 crisis.
Wow.
Yes.
It is a very long ride, but let's divert a bit still on President Museveni's speech.
Yes.
There is a very big issue that he tackled, and that is the issue that he called Task 5 on his list, and he said that the elimination of corruption in public service and from among the political leaders is at the core of his heart, and he said he's been getting good information about corrupt actors among the public servants, but also among the political actors. So with firm evidence, he said these traitors will be crushed. And also he said public servants and political leaders who continuously steal government money and are corrupt will also be crushed. And that there are, however, other actors that get bribes from foreigners to work for foreign interests. And we all know that we are a country that partners a lot with foreigners and foreign interests and all the investors and kind of thing. But the journey or struggle to end corruption has become a very big topic, to the extent that the head of state cannot leave podium minus addressing what he thinks would be the solution to solve it. What is your outlook on the corruption state in Uganda, especially with the leadership or the people in government that General Museveni was talking about or referring to?
Let me say this first. I'm very happy that the Fountain of Honor is coming to talk about corruption.
Okay.
And I'm very happy that in one of the 10-point programs of NRM, which they marketed as soon as they came to power, was to fight corruption, meaning that the other previous governments were corrupt. However, saying words is one thing, and putting words into action is another thing.
Sure.
And corruption is not an easy thing. It becomes difficult, it becomes cancerous in your body, and it can eat you alive. There is a time we drummed up the corruption week. And I think they started off from here, Constitutional Square, to Kololo. I remember the late Oranya, the speaker, telling the audience without fear or favor that you people, we are all here, but we are all corrupt. That statement was not an easy statement. He talked it as a statesman. It had reached that level. Then at the same time also, my government, I mean UPC government, proudly takes that record that every time it was chased from power violently, not through a vote, although it always came back by vote, there is no single serious record of corruption ever petitioned on UPC government. Okay? Now, why the situation is very critical? When we are talking about corruption in Uganda, it was in terms of 10,000s of shillings. That corruption jumped to 1 million, all in the language of million. Now that corruption jumped to the language of billions. That corruption pushed to the tune of trillions. Okay? This is how it has become deep cancer. If we are not so sure, medically they say you can arrest cancer when it is in stage 1.
Yeah.
The moment it reaches stage 3, stage 4, you should start writing your wills. Now with this sort of corruption, if they are stealing trillions, what is it waiting to declare the country collapsing? Okay. Now to go back to our issues, this corruption, okay, which has over rejuvenated and moved very far. I'm told there is a state house desk to deal with it and with the corruption. There is also IGG. There is also
Anti-corruption.
yes. But remember, there was a key government department which was frozen for some time. This is a special branch. Okay? For those in the police or those who are used to these sort of systems, special branch is supposed to have an up-to-date record of each and every citizen or of each and every person living in the country. Now, for whatever reasons which happened, special branch was frozen. And this could be the only source of this reliable data, file to file. They will know Carol is renting that site. They will know Carol has received a loan. Carol is starting to build. They will not see a Carol they cannot do, they call it smart audit. Okay, now this branch was, and the other are saying it was catching up with their bosses. So they said, special branch, let it. But a bit last year, a few months ago, they announced that they are bringing it back.
Oh.
If they bring it back and they do a professional job, a real professional job, they will know all these people who are involved in corruption and how corruption is going to move. Okay, that is one aspect. The other aspect, when the current leadership took over in 1986, okay, straight away, they went and banned the political parties, or suspended the political parties, if we are to use a mild word. And this suspension of political parties said that you people remain at your party headquarters. Don't move out of Uganda House 6th floor, plot 8 to 10, Kampala Road. Remain there, okay? Even when your branch chairman in Chigezi dies, don't go there, okay? And don't organize any branches. Okay, now if you are saying don't organize any branches, don't run any branches, how will you get information of what is happening in the village? How will you get information of who is stealing? Okay, it means you are cutting off yourself. And how will you get the ideas which help to move the country forward? So we were in this sort of situation from 1986 to precisely 2005. Okay? The voice of the people is in political parties. The voice of the people is in freedom of expression. The voice of the people is in freedom of association. The voice of the people is not in personal merit, is not in individual merit. Where one stands up, no, you elect me, MP, Busiro East, I will do this, I will do this. Yes, if we elect you and you do that and you do that, how are you going to govern Uganda? Okay, and even if we elect you, where are you going to get a team? Because it is personal merit, individual merit. But you give me a government today as a UPC person. I will call our chairman, Kabale, chairman, Fort Poto, chairman, Arua, come and we look at these things. Chairman, Kalamoja, come and we look at these things. Busoga, come and we look at these things. I already have a team. I already have people to move with. But this thing, we are in for all that time. And when we are in this thing for all that time, this is when corruption germinated. This is when corruption germinated. This is when the stealing of land germinated, building of houses, what have you, selling government assets, and one passes behind, grabs it, closing it down government assets without even serious discussion. Okay, this is where the mess started from. And yet in the 10 program, they are saying they are going to fight corruption. Okay, this is when we endorsed military solution to rebel activities. Whether it is ADF, go and crush it. Whether it is Alice Rakwena, go and crush him. Whether it is Kony, go and crush him. If it is Uganda People's Army of Peter Tai, go and crush him. If it is it People Redemption Army, ought go and crush him. Okay? We spent the 20 years crushing rebels. Until in 2006, we said, no, I think we better change tactics. And we went to Juba peace talks. And when we went to Juba peace talks, peace started returning to northern Uganda. And up to now, you can go to northern Uganda anytime, and you will never see a Kony rebel. So it was a combination of military adventure and diplomatic adventure. Diplomatic adventure delivered us. But in between this war, so many reports could come up that we have ghosty soldiers. In the same way we have ghosty civil servants. Okay? And most people started now erecting heavy buildings and what have you. The IGG at one time mentioned it crystal clear that to catch now these thieves, let us do smart audit. We get Carol and we say, Carol, where did you get the money to put up this accommodation, this building? If Carol starts talking a different language which is not clear, they say, let us investigate further. But the president came in, the fountain of honor came in. You go slow with those things. You may scare off our people, and they decide not to do anything or to take the man outside. So that one also gave them a leverage. This time when he talked, again he threw in something that for them to be enticed to come out in the open that I did this, they get saved, and they say their sins and they are pardoned. There should be an amnesty. Okay. Now the audience was addressing of MPs. They did not want to hear the amnesty. They said, no, it is time now to go for their neck, not amnesty. Okay. So we are having this situation. Of course, every country uses whatever is right in certain circumstances. There are so many times they have given rebels amnesty, and some come out of the bush and they are integrated. If amnesty can also work in this situation for the corrupt to come in and surrender their assets without causing a lot of fireworks, let it be. We can also give it a try.
I'm not sure how that how that would turn out, especially given that some of our leaders actually, you remember the IGG's report where they didn't even declare their assets.
Yes.
So I don't know how that situation would be, but let's take a very short break. We still have a lot to discuss as per the State of the Nation address, especially the president's speech. Even the Right Honorable Anita Among gave her remarks and thoughts, and we also remember that President Museveni said he emphasized the importance of exposing these individuals who favor foreign interests over East African integration. But we will get back to that after the short break. We are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. My name is Carol. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Family TV, enriching lives.